GoGamer is quite an interesting character, but not in the good way. He's produced 1,050 videos and has 7,800 subscribers. Yeah, that many. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why. Perhaps I said it was because of his high-quality content, but it became quickly apparent that this was not the case at all. And I don't mean that to sound haughty, but this is not the kind of content I'd expect to see on someone with that level of subscribers. GoGamer is the online bully kind of YouTube content creator. He attacks, he's voracious, but he can dish it out. He certainly can't take it. See, GoGamer is one of those people who's dumb in that he likes to attract attention to himself using this vitriol. But attracting attention to himself only helps us to expose him for the absolute and utter fool that he is. You see, GoGamer doesn't really understand the concept of talk shit, get hit. When he lashes out at people, when he uses this vitriol he's built up to bully and antagonize others, to hashtag expose them, and then, unable to deal with the backlash of their responses and their fans and their followers, will make videos like, I'm done with YouTube because other people are bullies. Overall, GoGamer just doesn't really seem like the kind of person I'd want to associate myself with, only against. During all the time that I thought about this GoGamer fellow, I couldn't help but think, that's just an awful lot of subscribers. How did he get this many people to follow him? Well, I'm certain that a lot of it is owed in part to the drama he stirs up with others in what his main game seems to be, DC Universe Online, a game I know nothing about, so I won't tread too deeply into the pissing contests that arise because of that game. But as I looked through his YouTube channel, I did notice there were a few things that just sent some really bad vibes, that really sent up some red flags, that really were questionable. We all know that if you go to someone's channel, and then go to the channels tab, you'll see all their subscriptions, and you could load these and look at them and see everybody that they subscribe to. As you see, I don't have a very big list. I like to do a lot of free roaming here and there, but there's some people I like. Now, you can do this on GoGamer's channel too. But whereas I have this many subscriptions, he has just a little bit more. Holy shit, that's a lot of subscriptions. And there's only really a few in there I even recognize. But when I saw this big-ass list of subscriptions that this guy subscribes to, I delved a little deeper and I checked some of them out. You get a lot of really strange channels like Cleef here, who have 2,400 subscribers to their name, though their videos are things like how to host a website, best solution, best way to learn Spanish, sewing machine repair, how to stop snoring, guitar songs for beginners, fashion designer jobs, how to lose weight, benefits of meditation. Sounds fishy to me. Really fishy. I mean, that's weird and all, but surely I'm not gonna base some accusations off of this one strange subscription, right? Right you are, Ken. Francis Marion. 100 subscribers and no activity. None. No activity at all. They've done nothing. Operation Feel Younger, 241 subscribers, no activity. Alex Christie, 359 subscribers on 2 videos, Facebook Hack V2, and something in a strange foreign alien language. 359 subscribers based on the view counts on those? I don't think so. Gutierrez777, 277 subscribers, and only 1 video, with 505 views. Something really weird's going on here. But there's a lot of these profiles. George Calderon, 68 subscribers. His only video. Comet Telecharger Construction Simulator 2014. What? I don't get what's going on with all these false front profiles, with all these ghost profiles, basically. What's going on? Powell Hayco. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't care. Doesn't matter. This isn't a real person. This is someone who subscribes to Go Gamer, right? And there's a lot of these profiles, just like I showed you. I could go on for ages with all these profiles, right? These are the people that this profile subscribes to. Now, he subscribes to Go Gamer, and look who else he subscribes to. All these channels. Free PayPal money, and all these other channels. I mean, look at this. This is who he subscribes to. Just list after list after list, row after column after row after column after row after column of people. This is ridiculous. These make up a very large percentage of Go Gamer subscribers. People who aren't even real. People whose only profiles whose only purpose is to tick up by 1 digit the subscriber count of others. See, it just keeps going and going. Just keeps going and going. No end in sight. So now you can understand my fascination with this fellow. This guy who has this terrible content, crappy videos, a horrible speaking voice, bad audio quality, and yet has 7,800 subscribers. 7,800 subscribers who aren't even probably real people, as I have shown you. Oh, but there's more. Oh, there's more. If you go into the discussion tab of Go Gamer's channel, you'll see a lot of very strange things I've never seen on other channels. Go Gamer will post things, and this is posted just ad nauseum over and over. According to YouTube, I now have 497 subscribers. I do not trust Google Tube lies, so if I could get at least 10 more subscribers, that would be awesome and really help me out a lot. I have great content, so please watch, like, leave a comment, and if you do, please subscribe. For those who subscribe, please send me a message so I know who you are and I can help you out if you need it. Help us out in the game, huh? There's no way you would possibly subscribe to someone just because they subscribe to you, right? I mean, you would never engage yourself in one of those weird little scammy things, right? Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. You notice this comment? It keeps copying over and over and over. Hey, that's all right. Just pointing that out. There just seems to be a lot of people who go to Go Gamer and say, I have subscribed to you. Help me out and subscribe to me. Or if you subscribe to me, I'll definitely subscribe to you. A lot of people saying that out of the blue. And while I cannot blame Go Gamer for people who make these comments, I am going to say that it is extremely odd that he has subscribed to so many people who produce no content at all that would be relevant to anybody, really, or who have no activity at all anyway. What is the purpose of subscribing to all these profiles that have no activity or irrelevant activity, or who haven't been active in a year tops? Or, sorry, at least a year. But why do I care about Go Gamer? What is it about this guy on the internet, this YouTuber, that I had no knowledge of previously, that has caught my attention? It actually wasn't him, it was one of his videos. And this video is titled, PC vs. Console. PC sucks? I'm a PC master, and I need to STFU. Hashtag PC Master Race. Yep, it's gonna be one of those long and bumpy videos where we discuss why this guy is a total idiot. Now, this isn't the worst video I've seen. I'd still say that Mr. NoobTube Gamers is the worst I've ever seen, but this one is a very close second. It really, really gives Mr. NoobTube Gamer a run for his money, so he'd better watch out. And now that I have sort of set the scene for this Go Gamer fellow, let's go ahead and dive into this so you can see what I've been talking about. Hold your breath, here we go. I guess Machinima will just let anybody be a partner these days. That explains a lot. I mean, really? This guy is a Machinima partner? This guy's partnered with Machinima. Machinima's okay with their logo being used at the front of his videos? Alright. But hey, it's their company image, not mine. If they want to have this guy as a partner representing them, so be it.
Okay guys, as you can see, this is not Call of Duty, it's Wolfenstein 3D. A PC game, albeit an old one, and it's a great game. Or, well, it was a great game.
Wait, it stopped being a bad game? Since when? You mean it hasn't aged well? Because it's still the same game it was back then.
So, why am I playing it? Well, that will become apparent later. Anyway, for many of us, YouTube is a way to entertain others, but for the casual internet user, it's a place where you can go to sit back, relax, and take some time to yourselves to take a break from life. It's a source of entertainment, much like what television used to be before mind-numbing programs like Lizard Lick Towing and Honey Boo Boo.
What about The Walking Dead? Or Sherlock? Or Game of Thrones? There's some pretty damn good shows out there, to be fair.
In the minds of many, YouTube is a magical fantasy world where you can go to escape the stress of real life, whether it be at work, school, or elsewhere. But as many of us have come to realize, like any magical fantasy world, there are many magical fantasy creatures that live there, much like the land of Narnia. But unlike Narnia, when you open up the...
He's really getting ranty here, but he eventually does get to a point, so just, clench your butt holes and hang in there,
wardrobe and take your first steps into that mysterious land known as YouTube, you don't find talking lions.
I guarantee you, I can find you a talking lion.
And cute talking badgers.
I guarantee you, I can find you a cute talking badger.
What you find are ugly, disgusting, troll-like creatures that feast on human flesh, who drink blood as if it were wine, and who will consume your souls until a sign pops over your head stating, "You defeated." Yes, the most prevalent magical creature in the land of YouTube are trolls. No unicorn's hair, or magical ponies that fly over rainbows, or magic bears that defeat evil by shooting rays of love from their chest.
Alright, first off, asshole, it's called a Carebear Stare. The Carebear Stare is the Care Bear's ultimate weapon, in which the collected bears stand together and radiate light from their respective tummy symbols. These combine to form a ray of love and good cheer, which can bring care and joy into the target's heart. So respect the Carebear Stare.
No. The only magical creatures you will find on YouTube are trolls. And while you are likely to come across many species or races of troll, all of them have certain characteristics which are found in all trolls.
Well, that totally isn't redundant.
In that, they are blind, deaf, totally stupid, and without thought, much like the women whose brains have dissolved into silicone, which now fill their breasts instead of their heads.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Just go with it.
Anyway, I digress.
Thank God.
The trolls whom I wish to address today are none other than the PC fanboys, or the so-called PC master race. I'm not sure how this race came to be, but scientists have always speculated that they may have originated in the Matrix, and their bodies are made up of various PC parts with cables for blood vessels and binary code for blood, and maybe an Nvidia card or AMD graphics card for a penis.
My dick is 12.9 inches long and weighs 3 pounds. You really got me.
So they can masturbate over their superior graphics.
Anti-aliasing does make everything more sexy.
Maybe they chose the wrong pill, or maybe they are all the one. I have always imagined the PC master race to be something like this.
He's having a huge orgy at his place later tonight. At least that's what many of us have heard.
It is true. What many of you have heard.
Morpheus! What can we expect at this orgy?
Machines!
Man, I'm out.
I would like to point out that the best part of this video is a skit that you did not create.
Or, I expect one of their conversations to go something like this.
Although the transport process has altered your consciousness, you irrevocably remain human. Ergo, concordantly, vis-a-vis. You know what? I have no idea what the hell I'm saying. I just thought it would make me sound cool.
So what you're saying about PC gamers is that people always want us at their orgies, we have big dicks, and we're hilarious. Which doesn't make much of an insult.
Anyway, fun and jokes aside, I would like to discuss the points that always seem to be at the forefront of the PC Master Race's mind.
How we all haul around our big dicks?
Gameplay, graphics, variety, and volume.
Gameplay, graphics, variety, volume. Gotcha. Well, do tell.
Now, I've kept it clean thus far, but I am going to deviate a bit from the structure of this commentary
And end the video?
just to say that no one fucking cares.
That's right, PC gamers. That's right, all you guys in the PC Master Race. Nobody cares. In fact, that's why I made a video about it and put it on the internet. All with editing and voiceovers and gameplay. I care less than anybody else. Of all the people who don't care, I care the least, which is why I made this video. So, ha! Just goes to show you.
Which is what they fail to realize. So I'm going to hopefully point out how hypocritical, insignificant, and mind-numbingly stupid some of their arguments are. Starting with graphics. The PC Master Race can't seem to make up their minds when it comes to graphics, as they always seem to be on both sides of the imaginary graphics war when it suits them.
There is no graphics war. A war would imply that both sides have a fighting chance. Unless you're one of those morons who actually think that console graphics are comparable to a PC's.
One day, they will say, graphics don't matter, it's the gameplay that counts.
I'm gonna go ahead and squash this bug right here at the beginning of this, alright? We don't say that graphics don't matter. In fact, I don't think anyone says graphics don't matter. But it's also important to note that there is a difference between bad graphics and a simpler graphical style. Minecraft is an excellent example because it's so popular. It has a very simple style, a very, very minimalistic sort of graphical style to it. That doesn't mean it has bad graphics. It doesn't have bad graphics. It has simple graphics. There's a difference. Now, while a game like Minecraft can have simple graphics and it looks fine, in fact, it looks very pleasing to the eye to me, there are some games that strive for very good graphics of a very high fidelity that botch them in terms of poor textures and bad anti-aliasing and other sorts of bugs. And of course, there are other things that are just a pain in the eye to look at. There's a custom map for Killing Floor 2 called The Room. It literally gave me a headache. I was up for hours. I could not sleep. But the point here is, yes, graphics matter, but they take a backseat to gameplay. A pretty game that doesn't play well, it's not a good game.
But these are the same people that like to brag about their superior graphics all day. If the graphics are so great, why do they feel the need to brag about it all the time? Are they overcompensating for something?
By your own admission, clearly we are not compensating for anything.
The usual argument is gameplay over graphics, so does that mean since PC graphics are so great that the gameplay is sufficiently lacking? Is that why they brag so much? It's like when a guy buys an oversized vehicle for no logical reason other than to overcompensate for his small penis size.
You just said that somebody who buys a large vehicle to overcompensate for their small penis is kind of like someone who buys a large vehicle to overcompensate for their small penis. And, as you said before, we've got some pretty hefty dicks, so we don't have to worry about that. And you're so hopeless, I'm not even going to get into trying to explain to you the merits of having a large vehicle, and how useful it is. Either way, you seem to think that you can't have both, you have to have one or the other, or that if one goes up, the other must go down. As performance increases, gameplay must decrease, or as gameplay gets worse, obviously the graphics compensate for that. This isn't necessarily true by any stretch of the imagination. While it's true that a PC does have a finite amount of power it can use, that doesn't mean that graphics and gameplay are a zero-sum economy. For instance, no matter what settings I put Metal Gear Solid 5 on, it's always going to run at 60 frames a second. Now, that's because that Konami, oh and fuck Konami, That's because Konami has decided that 60 frames per second is the limit for the game, and while I don't agree with it, it does, at least, allow me to crank up the graphics as high as I can without having to worry about any frame decreases. Though if it was staying at 60, I'd rather fluctuate above that, but that's just personal preference. You wouldn't know about these things. Or at least I'm guessing you wouldn't. Because you speak like you don't know anything about anything. Good thing I'm here to educate you, right? I don't know where you got this idea, probably through a personal fabrication, that just because we brag about our superior graphics, because they are superior, because we can have better hardware than you do, that doesn't mean that for some weird reason that you've pulled out of your asshole, that for some reason our gameplay is just worse. Now when you say performance, do you mean the graphical performance? How good it looks? If that's the case, then it's not debatable. Ours look better. Higher resolutions, and aliasing, all that jazz. Or perhaps you mean performance in terms of frame rates. And let me clue you in on a little something here, idiot. If you play on consoles, you don't need to be telling PC gamers that we don't have good performance. You don't need to be telling us about suffering performance, because that makes you look like an idiot.
Is that what's going on here on PC? Ha. Anyway, is that why they have to have the biggest and baddest graphics card, even though all they play is Garry's Mod and Minecraft?
And let's be frank here, the reason I'm calling you an idiot is because you're saying idiotic things and you're generally acting like an idiot. Whereas you're saying, we have better hardware, so obviously our penises must be smaller. Even though mine is apparently 12.9 inches long and weighs 3 pounds. Just saying, bro, it's pretty damn good. I'm no friend at all of the console fanboy, but I'm not going to say console fanboys have tiny penises because they, I don't know, have big television screens? Because the only reason you would have a big TV is to overcompensate for your penis? I don't know. But for the sake of argument, let's say that, hypothetically, we were in a universe where I didn't have a massive dick I had to haul around all day. Even if that were true, then what would that change? It wouldn't change anything. I'd still have the same graphics card, and I would still have the same monitor, and you would still have your same console. Not that I don't enjoy the subject of talking about dicks. However, it's irrelevant here.
Even though all they play is Garry's Mod and Minecraft?
Even though all they play is Garry's Mod and Minecraft. This is where we really start to get into the breakdown of what your video really is. This is the kind of structural disintegration of a video that becomes very apparent with the console fanboy. The console fanboy does not have arguments. He has accusations. When a console fanboy becomes aware of the massive library of games, most of which, or at least many of which, are exclusive to the PC that we have access to, he'll say, oh yeah, well, you only play a few of them. Alright, I'll play along. Let's say that all we did play was Garry's Mod and Minecraft. Let's imagine that in this world where my dick isn't massive and I have to haul it around with a wheelbarrow, the only games we ever play are Minecraft and Garry's Mod. Well, Garry's Mod is exclusive to PC, so you can't play that. Minecraft is immensely superior on the PC because of mods and our ability to get better basically everything. I won't list them. It would be shorter for me to list the things we don't have. Like, say, the propensity of squeakers. And attempting to mock us by saying we only play 2 games, you've successfully named 2 games that are either exclusive to us or superior on our platform. I've noticed that a lot with console fanboys. Whenever they try to make an argument, thinking that they're clever or witty or they've decided to move on for a little bit from their dick jokes, it kind of backfires. Like pretty much everything a console fanboy says against PC, it ends up backfiring. Mr. NoobTube Gamer's video about why consoles are better than PC has a classic example of shooting oneself verbally in the bridge of the nose repeatedly for just under 13 minutes. Link in the description.
Yeah, that's very productive. That's a very productive use of that technology, isn't it? Really putting a strain on that expensive graphics card there.
The very first graphics card I ever had in my PC was a GTX 550 Ti. It ran everything better than my Xbox 360 did at the time. Now, I played Garry's Mod and Minecraft on that card, and I still play these games to this day on the Zotac 980 Ti Amp Extreme. Now, there's obviously a very, very big performance difference between the 550 Ti and the Zotac 980 Ti Amp Extreme. It's a long name. Shit. And quite frankly, I don't think you as a console player can really understand or appreciate the performance differences that the same game could have with different sets of hardware. The differences of the performance in these games now compared to then, it's astronomically high. Just because Gary's Mod and Minecraft are fairly easy games to run, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see some serious performance improvements, gameplay improvements, and overall have a better experience on a much better card. I can tell you from personal experience that these games are much more enjoyable to play with the 980 Ti than they were the 550 Ti back then. So even easy to run games will allow you to experience the higher potential of higher end hardware. If you only play on console, you don't know what it's like to have a game run and then later on see that game running at its full, quote-unquote, full potential. Because the difference can be staggering.
On to the gameplay. While I think PC is great in its own right, and certain games can and should only be played on PC to get the experience that the developers meant for you to have, there are certain games that should not be on PC, in my opinion, that are terrible on PC and have horrible gameplay mechanics.
Plugging a controller into a PC basically makes it a console that's open platform, infinitely customizable, and runs a whole lot better. But you're saying that there are games that shouldn't be out for PC because they don't give you the full experience? But the console can give you the full experience?
You will often hear the argument that keyboard and mouse is better for gaming. Sensitivity this and field of view that.
FOV is your field of view. It's the range of the cone of vision your character has in a video game. It has nothing to do with your keyboard. Those things are not related. Why did you think they were?
And blah blah blah, and we can change so many settings, random jargon that no one gives a fuck about.
The ability to change settings and customize a system to my personal specifications as I see fit is not random jargon. It's a very important part of pretty much any purchase. Like a car, maybe a rifle, maybe a PC, hell, especially a PC. In fact, that's one of the big reasons why you should have a PC, the ability to make that PC yours. What does PC stand for? Personal computer. You don't have a personal console. That console is identical to everybody else's. But my PC is unique. That PC is mine. My PC is tailored for what I like explicitly. I can change basically everything about my PC the way I like it, and the ability to make something truly yours is a very attractive thing in an object. The only way to personalize your console is to put some stickers on it. Because at the end of the day, that's all you can really do to make your console personal. So to label one of the greatest assets of PC ownership, the customizability, the ability to personalize it to your preferences, that's one of the biggest selling points of the PC, and yet you blow it over as random jargon that nobody gives a fuck about. It just shows how detached you are from reality and how little you know about anything.
Yada yada yada, blah blah blah. That the keyboard and mouse is more intuitive and immersive and better built for gaming, and on that I like to call bullshit. Bullshit.
Irrelevant to the argument, the way that you say bullshit is irritating on multiple levels.
I don't know about you.
You don't know about anything.
But when I play a game, I would rather have both hands on one controller than have two hands on two separate controllers. Having two separate controllers create additional jobs for you to do, and it splits focus.
Hold the phone. It splits focus? You're mentally incapable of having one hand on a keyboard and the other hand operating a mouse? Are you capable of tying your shoes? How do you dress yourself in the morning? Can you drive a vehicle? Can you walk and chew bubblegum simultaneously? Now look, you know your abilities far better than I know your abilities, but a part of me thinks that somehow, you might be able to grasp the complex skill that it takes to have keyboard in one hand and mouse on the other.
So, the reason I don't like that is because I don't want to feel like I am working while I'm supposed to be playing a game. I remember games like Fury 3D, the original GTA, Pitfall, Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, etc. And these were all great games at the time, and they felt great on PC, and part of the reason why it felt great was because they were played by using both hands on only one controller, which would be the keyboard.
That's right, the reason that all these games were really good was not because of the gameplay mechanics, it wasn't because of the things you did, it's not because of the feelings they gave you. No. These games were great because both your hands were on the keyboard. And having your hand on a keyboard and a mouse, well, that's just too complicated. Nobody can handle that kind of complexity.
I am sure that I'm not the only one that thinks this way, but all the games that we loved as kids were not built for PC. Even though they had PC releases, arcade games such as Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, Street Fighter, Double Dragon, and other arcade classics.
So basically, what I'm picking up from this stupidity you're spewing from your gob is that games shouldn't be on PC because you prefer the controller. Even though you can hook your controller up to a PC, and there you go.
You could argue that these arcade games or arcade game machines had two separate controllers, and I would say you're wrong, because even though you had the joystick and the buttons on separate sides, left and right, it all felt like one streamlined machine, one controller.
So an arcade game that has a stick on one side and buttons on the other, that's totally cool. But a mouse on one side and a keyboard on the other side? That's too complex? You can't handle it? Do you have some sort of a physical ailment or disability of some kind?
Joystick to move and buttons to attack, much like the console controls are built today to emulate that experience. Try getting that on PC using a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, I mean, you got us there. If only we had all these options to emulate the arcade experience. Ugh.
Back in the days when PC gaming was simple, it was awesome and felt great, but as time moved on and games became more complex, PC gaming felt more like a chore.
Mechanically, yeah, some games have grown more complex. In other ways, they've grown a lot more simple. PC gaming, however, is much more simpler than it used to be. PC gaming is quite literally plug in and play, just like a console is. Steam, Origin, all these services will keep your games organized and together, they'll install updates for you. So much stuff is automated, there's really no work at all involved. It's only as complicated as you want it to be. You'd know this if you knew anything about PC gaming, that it's getting simpler and simpler and simpler.
Now, of course, this doesn't apply to all games, but I don't think you can truly be immersed in a game when using a keyboard and mouse.
Oh yeah, that's right, because it's too complicated for your little brain to handle. If the most immersion can be had on a console, then how come all the virtual reality architecture and gaming technology that we're starting to see really make a push come out is all on PC? Consoles are not going to have virtual reality. It's not going to work for them. The hardware required to keep virtual reality running without getting you sick and really truly having your brain think what's around you is real is far beyond what a console can provide.
Maybe you can when playing games like StarCraft or Warcraft, Age of Empires, Command & Conquer.
I don't know how immersive a strategy game is when you're looking down on everything instead of being actually in it, but I suppose you can be. I won't say you can't be, I'm just saying those normally aren't the types of games that come to mind when people say immersion. When people say immersion, they mean games like BioShock or Soma, games that really pull you into the environment.
And various other MMOs and RTS games, as those are meant for the more tactical-minded gamer. Because a PC, by its very nature, is a tactical, logical machine. A keyboard and mouse are very tactical devices, therefore you could say those games were built and meant to be played on PC.
All you're doing is bringing up the merits of a keyboard. A keyboard isn't one thing. A keyboard is anything you need it to be. It's used for shooters, excellently. It's used for RTSs, excellently. It's used for MMOs, excellently. It's used for anything. You could use a keyboard for anything. It serves all purposes. It is what you want it to be. It doesn't limit you like a controller does.
Which is why, as I said earlier, PC gaming feels like a job or a chore. It feels like work.
I don't know how much PC gaming you've actually done, because you're really giving us mixed signals here. You're telling us things about the PC that are wildly false. You're saying things that make no sense. You give us the impression that you can't even spell PC. You'll say all those things, and then you'll say that it's too much of a chore to play on PC. So, how much PC playing have you done? I've never met anyone who has said that playing on the PC is too much of a chore to operate. I've never heard someone say they can't handle a keyboard and a mouse before. You give us the impression that you're one of those fake PC gamers that console fanboys pretend to be. Like, you say have all this experience with a PC, you know all about it, but it's just a lie to attempt to give yourself more credit when you have none.
Of course, you do have casual games like adventure, action, racing, shooters, platformers, etc. available on PC, but you'd still be using a keyboard and mouse, which to me just feels awful and awkward. I think those games are meant for console. Yes, you could use a controller or joystick like you would back in the day, but that would defeat the whole purpose of PC gaming.
It wouldn't defeat the purpose of PC gaming. It would do the opposite. It would highlight the purpose of PC gaming. You could say, to have fun. Granted, that's true. However, it's to have fun with video games while having the ability to customize, to choose from a wide variety of different peripherals and games, to have freedom in the selections that you decide to take. Saying that using a controller to play a PC game defeats the purpose of it is absolutely asinine. It makes you sound like an idiot. You get to use the preference of a controller, and you get to have all the benefits of the performance of a PC.
And if PC gaming was so great, and keyboard and mouse is so great, then why would they make controllers specifically for those types of games?
The word you're looking for is specifically.
And it's not just a modern occurrence. Fury 3D and Flight Simulator games and various other games, which were released on PC, while great, just didn't feel right, and so joysticks and controllers were made to give the games a more streamlined and intuitive interface.
God damn, you're stupid. The whole point of a simulation game is to simulate doing whatever it is the game is designed for you to do. A flight simulator is designed to simulate flying a plane. A train simulator is designed for simulating the conduction of a train. Or is it conducting? Who knows? Neither a keyboard and a mouse nor a controller are designed to give you the proper control setup to simulate these activities. Flight simulators are very popular. For this reason, I'll use them in the example. When you're flying a plane in real life, now I've never done this, so take this all with a grain of salt, but I'm fairly certain that the cockpit doesn't consist of a keyboard and a mouse, nor does it consist of a controller. In order to properly and as truly as possible simulate the flying of a plane, controls that emulate or copy the controls found in an actual aircraft are necessary. Simulators aim for the highest levels of realism possible, and few things can really put you there, like having your actual hands on an actual model of actual plane controls. Or, stripped down variation of the same thing. In fact, a plane's controls... What the fuck am I doing? I'm on the internet trying to explain to somebody why a flight simulator game has flight controls in it. Fuck me.
Now, I don't know about you, but after a long day at work, I like to come home and relax and sit on my couch and play a game and relieve stress. I'd rather not come home to sit down at another desk and type WASD Shift Control Space 12345678990, mouse click left, right, scroll down, click click, delete, backspace, when I've been doing that shit all day at work using Microsoft Office. Because that's what you're asking me to do by coming home and playing on PC, is playing Microsoft Office. That's essentially what you're doing.
You're essentially an idiot. I mean, holy shit, you actually believe this. I mean, I know there's some levels of sarcasm in there, but comparing playing PC games to operating Microsoft Excel, it's probably not the best comparison to make because, they're basically different in every single possible imaginable way. I can use the exact same argument against console games. You want me to go to work and then come back and then just press blue, red, yellow, green, L, R, start, select, R, RB, LB? But you see, it doesn't make any sense either. In fact, that's dumb, which is why I would never say it. Remember, this guy's a machinima partner. Just keep that in mind.
I don't need all that shit while playing a game. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Oh, but we have Counter-Strike. That's a shooter, and it's awesome. That was built for PC. Okay, I'll give you that. But what would translate better in real life?
Oh, no. Don't you say it. Don't you dare.
If you were to get a guy who played shooters on PC
No, stop. Do not make this comparison. Do not do this.
and get a guy who played shooters on console and put them out there in real life war
Oh my god, he's actually gonna do this. He's actually going to make this comparison.
scenarios, who would you rather have? I would rather have the console player because, as I have said, the controller is more intuitive and it's in both hands as one device, much like a machine gun would be held with the triggers, etc. And they would be more likely to adapt better to those situations. What would a PC player do? Hold the gun with their left hand and shoot with their right hand on the non-existent mouse and throw a grenade with G? Get the fuck out of here.
This is a level of stupidity that I have never ever seen before. It almost leaves me dumbstruck with how absolutely idiotic this is. You see, GOH Gamer believes that in a live combat scenario, being a console gamer and holding a controller with two hands when you play a video game allows you to more adequately and expertly operate an actual, real firearm in a combat scenario. He says it is because the controller is more intuitive. However, I do recall him earlier in the video saying about the mouse and keyboard.
A keyboard and mouse are very tactical devices.
I mean, not that it matters, because obviously it doesn't take a United States Marine to tell us that, now I'm just gonna go off on a limb here and guess that it doesn't really matter whether or not you play your games with a mouse and keyboard or with the controller. It has absolutely zero bearing on how well you operate a firearm. Absolutely zero. Now, video games can give somebody theoretical knowledge on how a gun functions, perhaps. Maybe you see an M16 or an AK-47 or a Beretta 92FS or something like that being reloaded in a video game, and you've watched that, and so it lets you know how to do it in real life, to some degree, of course. I will say that playing shooter games can give you some level of theoretical knowledge in how to operate certain firearms. Can. I wouldn't know this for certain. However, I would reasonably believe that if you see a virtual version of something being done over and over and over, it would let you to copy that in real life to some degree, a little bit better than someone who's never seen it before. That's just a guess, though, but I think it's reasonable to believe that. However, the peripherals that you use in those games doesn't seem like it would have any bearing at all with your ability to operate a firearm in a live-fire combat situation, and it's absolutely idiotic to assume that it is. I am no soldier, and I will not pretend to be. I am, however, a firearms enthusiast, and while that is not nearly anything compared to someone who's actually been in combat, who is trained up to military standards, I would say that based on the handling of my own firearms, using a controller or using a mouse and keyboard has jack shit to do with your familiarity with them. And that's all within a safe, enclosed environment at a gun range, or at my grandparents' house in the boonies. When you have explosions going off, bullets flying around, if you see someone get shot, when you know that your life is on the line, that level of stress is not something people can handle. Being in a combat situation, being in war, it's serious fucking business and it should not be belittled. to make the absolutely idiotic assumption that having a controller in your hands would make you more apt in actual combat is insulting to the people who have actually been in combat and who have had to do some things that perhaps they might have not wanted to do. I could go on and on and on with how absolutely stupid this line of thinking is, but I think I've given it enough of my say, so I think we can move on safely and securely, knowing how absolutely moronic this man actually is.
Moving on, you will also regularly hear from PC fanboys that we have so many more games than you, so many exclusives only available on PC, we have Counter-Strike, we have Half-Life 2.
Well, yeah, we bring it up because it is an advantage over the consoles. The massive library and huge list of exclusives that we have, that's an advantage for us.
Tell me, why is it that PC gamers brag about their games when most of their shit was made 10 to 25 years ago, and they are still playing that shit and bragging about it?
He says as he plays Wolfenstein 3D. Maybe we bring it up because we realize our PCs are backwards compatible with pretty much every PC game ever made. That's a pretty substantive advantage for the PC. And contrary to what you believe, most of our shit was not made 10 to 25 years ago. However, unlike you, I can put a game that is 10 to 25 years old into my CD tray, or download it online and play it. Like Halo, which I bought off of Amazon a few weeks ago. Or perhaps you're just alluding to the idea that just because it's old, it's bad. There's nothing wrong with old games at all. A lot of old games are excellent. If anything else, being on the PC only highlights that if we have the option to play old good games, some of us will take advantage of playing those old good games. But most would imply over half. And I'm fairly certain that over half of the games that we have are not from 10 to 25 years ago. Just a guess. But really, it's just not relevant. Just because all of our games don't have planned obsolescence built into them, doesn't mean that all we play is old garbage. Which I will show you in just a few moments, but please continue.
Yeah, you got so many games to choose from that you have been playing that one game for the past 25 years.
Well, 25 years ago, I wasn't alive, for starters. Secondly, you speak to this and say it's a fact. You say that, factually, PC gamers only play old games. And console players only play new games. They never visit their back catalog. They never put in old discs that they've bought. They never relive a gaming experience that perhaps they had years ago. Earlier this year, sometime around spring, I replayed BioShock. Like BioShock 1. Because I think it's one of the best games ever made and I enjoy it immensely. I love that game. Revisiting that game, giving myself the thrills that I used to have, that doesn't mean that I'm playing old shit. I think it was sometime late last year I started replaying all of the Mass Effect trilogy. Does that mean that I play old shit? Are you calling Mass Effect old shit? I'm not saying you say that specifically, but you do seem to give the impression that playing old games is bad.
Why? Why? Because it's the only shit you have to play. Because all the games released on PC are the same shit. No variety. Nothing ever changes. Which is why you are still playing that 25-year-old game.
Who? Who is playing this 25-year-old game? Who is this person you keep referring to? Because I don't think we're aware of this person who only plays games that are 10 or 25 years old. I don't think I've ever played a game that predates me. At least not one on my PC. I'd have to go to an old machine in an arcade or something to do that. But you bring up that all of our games are the same shit over and over. It's really, really foolish for a console fanboy such as yourself to bring up the subject of innovation when he's talking about games. In terms of innovation made in this industry, one always looks to the PC platform. Everything from VR to different ways of rendering objects to the technology that goes into video games. You don't get that when you're constantly having to be held back by technology that doesn't change or update itself. A PC changes over time. It's constantly evolving, constantly improving, and as such, it is the best platform for innovations to actually occur. From a technological aspect, a purely mechanical aspect, innovation is made on the PC. Sometimes, like in the case of virtual reality, It's just because consoles physically cannot put up with it. They don't have the power it takes. You can make the argument that sometimes a game mechanic is quote-unquote revolutionary, though that's really more of a buzzword these days when a game comes out on console, but that's not because the game was out on console. It's just because a game that happens to be on console has a mechanic in it that may not have been seen before. It's irrelevant to the platform. Unless, of course, you're talking about in-game content that relies on having more memory in a system, or more graphical processing power, stuff that you physically could not do in a console. You say that all of the PC games are just the same thing over and over, but pointeth to me this exemplar of innovation that you get in the console gaming library. Please do. I'm all ears.
Yeah, you got a huge Steam library with millions of games, more than what we have on console and more than we can count, but all the games still suck.
Now, I don't play on console at all, ever. Saying that all the PC games suck only goes to highlight how much of an idiot you are. I'm not a console gamer, but I'm certainly not going to say that all console games suck, because that would just be an idiotic blank. You're really grasping here. When someone like you, who's a console fanboy, who can't stand the idea that the PC has a big, massive advantage over you, you will try everything that you can, even if it's just flat out saying, "Oh, they all suck," to try and mitigate that advantage. What? The PC has all these games, this massive library, many of which I'll never get to play on console? Oh, they all suck, so,
And even if they don't suck, they are all the same shit. MMO RTS MOBA, MMO RTS MOBA, MMO RTS MOBA, 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 MOBA. I feel like Jabba the Hutt. And we can't forget Minecraft.
As of October the 10th, the year of our Lord 2015, of the top 10 games being played on Steam, only one of them is a MOBA game, and it's Dota 2. Also notice how the top 2 games are Dota 2 and Counter-Strike Go, and recall that these games have very big professional and competitive communities. That's because these games have either a lot of content or a lot of depth to them. These games are very deep MLG games in the truest sense of the word. They also have extremely large competitive communities. Let's see how far down the list we have to go to find another MOBA. And that game would be Smite. So on Steam alone, you have 2 MOBAs in this list. So I don't really understand where you're getting all this MOBA RTS hate. I could just say consoles are nothing but shooter. I know that's not true, but when you look at, and yes, this is going back to peripherals, the controller versus the keyboard allows us for a larger variety of different types of games. How many turn-based and real-time strategy games do you get? And MMOs, how many MMOs do you have on the console? You speak so poorly of the mouse and keyboard, but what you don't seem to realize is that one of the reasons you don't have as many genres, or the proliferation of many of these genres as we do, is because your interface just can't support it.
And then the millions more MOBAs soon to be released.
Releasing a game in the multiplayer online battle arena genre is a very risky undertaking. These games are not normally regarded as casual, and as such, a game has to be extremely good and offer the player an extremely large amount of depth in order to get them playing. MOBAs take a long time for you to master to really get competitive with, so they have to offer a very compelling reason for someone who plays MOBAs, and if you play MOBAs, chances are you play it a whole lot, but it has to give a MOBA player a really compelling reason for them to leave their MOBA of choice and hop over to something else. But to me, it just sounds like you're getting all upset and angry that we have a genre that you guys really don't have at all.
Hey PC gamer, what games you got coming down the pipeline? Oh, another MOBA? Wow, surprise. Point is, you brag about having a huge selection of games with a wide variety of genres to choose from, when that's all bullshit.
You seem to be mistaken. You haven't made a point. All you said was, our games don't have any innovation and they all suck and they're all MOBAs. That's not a point. If this were a live debate in front of an audience, which it sort of is, minus the live bit, you couldn't say that all we had was MOBA games and they were all shit, and everyone in the crowd would scratch their chins and say, that's a good point. Because it's not a point. It's ridiculous, it's asinine, it's ignorant, and it's uninformed, like everything else that comes out of your mouth. I could just say, hey console gamer, what game do you have coming out? Halo 5? Oh, surprise, surprise, nothing but shooters on console. That Halo 5 sure does look innovative.
I mean, it's like me eating a variety of foods and then going to the toilet, having a shit, and then saying, look, I have a wide variety of shit for you to choose from.
It's like you're in a contest with yourself to see who could come up with the dumbest analogy.
But at the end of the day, it's still shit. Don't brag about your shit because it's shit. That's just stupid.
That's right, because calling every single game on the PC platform shit, even though we both share a lot of the same games, definitely constitutes an extremely intelligent and well thought out idea. And is totally not stupid at all.
MMOs, MOBAs, RTS games are built for PC and are great in their own right, but don't come to me bragging about a variety and a wide selection when, let me repeat, you have been playing that one game for 25 years. And by the way, the graphics for that 25-year-old game sucks.
Hold on, didn't you say that graphics don't matter? You didn't even say the graphics didn't matter. What you said was, as graphics go up, that's compensating for something, in your mind, I guess. So as graphics get better, the gameplay gets worse. But in this case, since the graphics for those old games are so bad, it means that the gameplay is extremely good? I mean, by your own logic, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here. You're saying that these old games that are the only games we play have terrible graphics, so I guess they have really, really good gameplay?
Don't brag about that 25-year-old game and then brag about the graphics of your machine when the game isn't capable of utilizing the graphics card to its full potential.
You still don't get it, do you? We have the best of both worlds here. We can play those old games with just the double click of an icon. And then with a double click of another icon, we're playing the latest, greatest game on whatever graphics card that we choose. And just because a game isn't pushing the limit of what the latest, greatest GPU can possibly do, that doesn't mean the game looks bad. It doesn't mean its graphics are poor. The recent release of the GTX 950 has just shown us that even a card that costs only $150 will solidly outperform the consoles. And if a game isn't graphically advanced enough to push our graphics card to the limits and max them out, well then I guess we'll just have to suffer through all the extra frame rate we get. Woe is me.
Like your countless pointless MOBAs like League of Losers.
Your cleverness is truly the stuff of legends.
You got a $1,000 graphics card?
No, hardly anybody does. I mean, I don't. That's like saying everybody who owns a car has a Ferrari.
Well done! Now sit down and play Minecraft. Yeah.
Playing Minecraft with a $1,000 GPU is going to be a far better experience than playing it with a lesser graphics card. Is it necessary? Not really, but that depends on your personal preferences. You know, it's choice that we get to make as PC gamers, the things we buy. Again, just because someone isn't playing the latest, greatest, most graphically impressive game ever doesn't mean that they're squandering any of the power. Ever played Minecraft at 144 frames a second? Because it's pretty freaking sweet. You seem to forget that graphics cards give us not only great-looking graphics, but also buttery smooth frames per second.
Oh, but we also have Assassin's Creed and GTA and many of your games.
I have a feeling I'm going to have to say that our ports are better in a moment.
But hey, most of those games were developed for console.
And for PC.
And then ported to PC like a year later. So what exactly are you bragging about?
Superior ports? Oh, yep, there it is. Video games are harder to make on the PC, and we understand that. But we get a lot of the benefits that you'll never get to see. We get a better port as a result of it. Sure, we got Grand Theft Auto 5 later than you did, but we also got things that you guys will never be able to have on your hardware. Ever. We got an objectively better game than you did. Even ports that run really poorly on PC still almost always run better than they do on the console. We just have higher standards for what's acceptable.
Yes, the graphics capabilities are superior.
Don't forget the frames per second and the resolution capabilities.
But still, it's a console game. Oh, but 1080p, 4000K resolution. I've got 4K resolution. Hey, it's still a console game. You're playing on PC, it's still a console game.
No, if we play it on PC, it's a PC game. And just because a game comes out first for console doesn't mean that it is a console game. It means that your weaker hardware cannot support all the stuff ours can. Yours gets done first because there's less to it. You get the inferior product. That doesn't mean it's yours. Hell, maybe you want to call it yours, but remember, what you're calling yours is the inferior version of something. Imagine that game developers are a restaurant that can make a variety of different foods, and imagine that consumers of the video game industry are people eating in that restaurant. Let's say that a console gamer and a PC gamer sit together at the same table. Both of these people, the console gamer and the PC gamer, order a burger and fries. Now about 2.5 minutes later, the console gamer is served. The waitress brings him his food, and it's a terrible looking burger. The ketchup oozes messily out the side, it's not stacked right, and the fries are all greasy and awful. But the console gamer happily eats it, because that's what he's expecting. That's what his level of standard is. That's what he's used to getting. Now about 10 more minutes go by, and the waitress comes back and serves the PC gamer. And his burger looks much, much better. It's a delicious, big, thick, juicy patty made of short rib and brisket and chuck, and the fries have been hand-cut and they're the right temperature. Everything is stacked nice and neat. The lettuce is fresh, the tomato is juicy, it's got a wonderful Cajun sauce on it. A delish. That is an analogy about PC and console versions of games. That's an analogy that actually works. You get something quicker that's shitty, we get something later that's actually palatable. Oh, and when we both get our bills, ours is actually cheaper.
Oh, but they were developed on PC. Hey, it's still a console game. Yeah, they were developed on PC for the console and then ported back to PC like a year later. So guess what? You have our leftovers. Yes, that's what you have. Console leftovers ported to PC.
Our leftovers are superior to your first course. And again, you seem to think that just because a console game could come out before the PC game does, that it's the real version of the game? You get a quicker but inferior version of something. That doesn't mean that it's yours. And I wouldn't take pride or ownership over that.
You really have nothing to brag about.
Well, our big dicks, remember?
But we have... Hey, it's still a console game. But, hey, it's still a console game. Well, Xbox Live and PSN get hacked and are down all the time. We don't have to deal with that shit. Yeah, right. Tell that to Steam and Origin. Steam goes down and your entire library goes down with it. You can't even log on and play a game. Not even offline. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense, because what you said is a lie, and it is an untruth. You have spoken something that has no validity. It has no basis in fact. It is conjecture, based on ignorance. Remember back in 2013, when the Xbox One was revealed and all the draconian DRM along with it? People often compared it to Steam, though it was a very, very, very poor comparison. This was one of the reasons why. If Steam goes offline, we can still play all of our games. Even games that are multiplayer only, we can still open up. We could still actually get into the game. It's not going to stop us with a hand in our face and say, nope, you must connect to the internet. You display an ignorance for Steam that has, granted, been seen before, but that doesn't make it any less ridiculous. If you're going to talk about these features, then you better damn well do just a little bit of looking into it. If I'm going to talk about Xbox Live, then I'm going to go and look at all the features of Xbox Live. I'm going to talk with people who have used Xbox Live. I'm going to, in some way, educate myself about Xbox Live. It's one thing to make a mistake, to say something wrong that's trivial and doesn't really matter. But a massive, important, and very good aspect of something, like if it goes offline, we could still play our games, that's just common knowledge that you need to get right. You can't fuck up when you're talking about that. We don't need to be online to play all of our games. Besides, in one of your videos, didn't you explicitly say?
One thing I do is speak the truth.
Yep, one thing I do is speak the truth, except for those times where I just outright lie.
MMO services go down all the time as well. and they usually have a bad service like Arcade or Warcraft or Rift, etc, etc. And, you know, I don't even know what to say to that. It's just bullshit. Those are made for PC.
But the online stability of those MMOs have nothing to do with the fact it's on PC. Those are game issues. Those aren't platform issues. If an MMO doesn't have good servers, that's not the PC's fault. That's the fault of the developers and the publishers. I don't fault the console for, say, the Master Chief Collection's terrible stability online when it came out. That's 343 Industries' fault. And so much for all those dedicated servers for Xbox One, right? Right?
And they don't even work on PC. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Not to mention the countless viruses built to destroy your PC. Yeah, brag about that all you want.
I have never had a virus ever while PC gaming, and I've been doing this for about a little bit over 3 years now. The console fanboys' assertion that viruses are an issue for us is an incorrect one.
Nope, nope, nope. Anyway, that's my little rant over. Kind of went overboard there, but hey, whatever. I said my part. If you agree, then leave your comments below. If you disagree, I really couldn't care less. They're my opinions. Deal with it. Sorry, PC Master Race, bitch.
A very classy way to end a video. But you say you don't care if people disagree with you, but didn't you make a video saying that you were going to quit YouTube because you couldn't deal with all the trolls and the haters? That same video where you said all you do is speak the truth? A video that I will link in the description that is full of the most hypocritical garbage I've ever seen? Where you say,
Okay guys, I had a long time to think about this, and I've come to the decision that I have to quit YouTube. And while there are many things that I enjoy about creating videos, like making videos for fun and just making people laugh in general, there are also many things that I hate that come from making these videos, like the ignorant and stupid people, the haters. No matter how you speak the truth, people don't want to hear it, or they choose not to accept it. People just follow whatever bullshit lies are spoken to them because it's coming from their favorite YouTuber.
wow. For someone who talks about how much you speak the truth and how much you don't like people for lying, you sure do lie a lot and don't speak the truth. You're pathetic. You're pathetic. You're just like the rest of the console fanboys. In fact, you may be their god. You have no problem dishing it out, but all you do is shrivel up whenever it comes back at you. You can't handle it. You're so thin-skinned, it's pathetic. You have no problem talking shit, but you sure have a problem getting hit. People like you are one of the reasons why I don't respect machinima. I mean, yeah, there's, accepting bribes for reviews, but the fact that they'll take someone like you and partner with you just goes to show how low they've sunk. So maybe you'll make a response to this. Maybe you won't. Part of me really, really hopes you do. I think it'd be very entertaining. I've got a thicker skin than that. I hope you come back with something. I'm not going to make videos where I'm leaving YouTube because I can't stand when people actually get back at me for the things I've done. Because I'm a PC gamer. And word on the street is, I've got a big-ass dick.